I can't believe you went to that place I can't find on a map. And this bot said I was upset about it, so now I am. I can't believe how much anger I had about this issue after it went viral.
So you're here to apologize?
No, not at all. It was one of the most amazing experiences I've had as a comedian. It was incredible. And what was the best part is my whole life is I've been paranoid about the news. Like I watch the news and I always go like, this doesn't feels like they're moving stuff around, they're shifting it. So to actually kind of be in the middle of one of those stories and actually confirm it and watching them lying their ass off saying there was no women there, which was a lie. It was just great to be at home. Like I'm like, I fucking knew it. I knew they were lying.
All right.
It's not all right. It's really like fucked up that they do that.
You sound like anyone's uncle yelling at the TV.
All right, so Bill Burr has been trying to address the Riyadh Comedy Festival controversy, and he is not doing himself any favors with this. I mean, this feels even more insulting than him actually doing the festival. You know, I'd respect it more if he's just like, listen, it was too much money to turn down, that's why I did it. Because instead, he's trying to act like this was a virtuous thing he did. And if you criticize it, you're the self-righteous one or sanctimonious one. He kept saying that when he addressed it on his podcast. And Conan O'Brien's, he did a live show with Conan, and people apparently walked out during it. It was that bad. Because in between Burr acting like the people criticizing him are the ones virtue signaling, you talk about how if you actually care about Saudi Arabia and the people there, you'd realize this was a positive thing he did. He really acts like this was some philanthropic work he was doing over there and says it helped progress their country. And of course, never mentions all the money he got paid to go over there by the royal family and doesn't mention the human rights violations they commit. So it's impossible to take him seriously anymore. I mean, even at one point during this podcast, when he's trying to be serious and talk about how they help progress over there, I'm pretty sure you can hear someone in the crowd laugh at him.
And to their credit, they said, all right, what do we got to do? And they basically whittled it all the way down to you couldn't talk about any religion. Theirs, yours, anybody else's, and you couldn't make fun of the royals. That was it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's fucked up, man. It's like, well, they just progressed the ball like 10 yards, and it was amazing. And we get there, it's like in the round, and I'm waiting to go on, and everybody in the crowd is dressed like fucking Yasser Arafat, right? Listen, what went going on over there was a super positive thing. If you actually give a fuck about those people and how they're living over there, there's going to have to be these types of things to kind of pull them in. And I will tell you, the Cheesecake Factory in Riyadh, man, it's incredible. It's right next to the Pizza Hut and the KFC. And if you want a pair of Timberlands, it's across the street next to the Marriott, catty corner to the fucking Hilton. Like, things like this have to happen in order to gradually, like, progress. And then, you know, it was necessary. It felt right afterward. Like, I really, and it really was like the people. And I vibed with them, and they were funny.
Yeah, so Bill's critics just don't understand. He really did this because he's a man of the people. Like, it's actually really brave and progressive to get paid a ton of money by a corrupt government and then do positive PR for them and ignore their use of slave labor. You know, you won't hear old Billy Bonesaw joke about that at all, because then he'll never get a check from the Saudis again. Like, Tim Dillon proved that was off limits. You know, at least he was being honest and didn't censor himself, and he's being too honest. Like, he literally said he's just doing it for the money, and he's being paid to look the other way when it comes to slave labor and human rights violations. So that shows ignoring that stuff is part of the deal, and Bill knows that. You know, because usually he has no problem making fun of countries and making fun of the people there and their government and how they do things. And he used to do that with Saudi Arabia, but now that they're paying him, it's a different story. Like, now he'll just make a couple lighthearted jokes and then talk about how amazing his experience was and how great the people and culture are. And then he'll act like if you have a problem with him performing there, it's because you're a racist idiot that can't find Saudi Arabia on a map. Like, also to cope, he starts talking about how corrupt every country he performs in is. But of course, he never mentions the big differences he's getting paid by the Saudi government to ignore the corruption there. And then also he talks about how Iceland is a more ethical country. But then he's like, it's kind of weird over there though. And then he makes a joke about how there's a lot of inbreeding in Iceland and they need an app to help prevent against it. And the audience does not seem to like that, probably because he just spent 15 minutes shilling for Saudi Arabia and ignoring everything wrong with that country, which ironically is one of the most inbred countries. But they gave him a fat check, so he'll never joke about that and would probably say you're racist if you mention that. So he's just hard to listen to now. You know, he's totally bought and paid for. Also, after the crowd gets upset about what he says about Iceland, he mocks them for being overly sensitive and dumb Americans that couldn't even find Iceland on a map.
Everybody can just, you know, they release the bots so they can just keep it going. And
Did you know?
I am happy
Did you have an inkling before you went to Riyadh? Did you or the other comedians have any sense that there'd be this kind of response when you got back?
No, I had no fucking idea. Because it was funny. One time I did Abu Dhabi, and one person texted me, "Oh, you're going over there to get that blood money, right?" And I go, "Hey, just for the record, I'm also doing London, England on that tour, which is arguably the bloodiest fucking money out there." So there's like that element of racism to it, where if brown people are doing it, it's fucked up. If white people are doing it, whoa, what are you talking about? Almost like sports. So, yeah, my team doesn't cheat. Your fucking team cheats. So, if we're gonna do the blood money game, I think the only countries I've ever played in that is clean money was New Zealand and I think Iceland. But then Iceland is weird, where over there they have an app, a dating app that doesn't say, if you're related, it's how. Because they're all part of the same thing over there. It's true.
Wait, that's not a joke.
That's not a joke. It's fucking true.
Yeah.
Look at you guys. Oh, now he's going after Iceland. Now I'm really upset with that place. I don't really quite know where it is next to England. Is that it? No, that's Ireland. That's Isle of Man. That's fucking Iceland. So, no, I'm part of I don't give a fuck what all these phony fucking people are saying. My thing is I go out to perform in front of fucking people, and as I've been traveling the world, I want to see more of it. And the thing that I loved about going to these Arab countries is that their sense of humor, they're silly. They're really silly. And I'm a silly person.
So it's wild he mocks the audience there for being too sensitive and then talks about how the Saudis have a great sense of humor, even though there's clearly a lot of topics he would never joke about over there and not even joke about here because he wants to continue going over there. And it's funny because I'm sure them inbreeding is probably one of those topics. So if Bill really wants to prove that they have a great sense of humor, let's see him make fun of them for inbreeding next time he's over there. And then also, of course, Bill tries to spin this like he just loves traveling and going to new places and experiencing new cultures and meeting new people. And that's the reason he did it. It had nothing to do with the all expenses paid trip and $1.5 million he was getting when he went there. And he even said the people that didn't go, I think he might be referring to the comedians that turned it down, or maybe just people in general. But he said, if you don't want to go there, you didn't go there, then you're an asshole.
I'm a silly person. And like Anchorman type of shit, but they don't fucking show that over here. So it's kind of fun to get a worldview by going a little more of an informed worldview than if you sit on your couch and let some talking head, then you just think it's machine guns and people saying all of that stuff, and it's like I don't know. It was a really I was buzzing after the show. That's what a good time it was. And all of these fucking assholes that didn't go and never will go, all they're ever going to see is the machine guns. And if that's how you want to live, that's how you want to live. I really don't give a fuck, Conan. And if it affects my career, I've been to LAX enough in my life. I'll fucking sit home for a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess if you don't take Saudi blood money from the crown prince, then you're just an uncultured asshole. So I think this is when some of the audience started walking out because, who wants to listen to this? He was just insulting the audience. And this was a theater in LA, so I'm sure most of the people there were liberals and probably used to like Bill. This person who was on Reddit said they always liked him and thought he was a smart guy. But then they went to this and realized he was completely out of touch. They said, he went on a bizarre rant about how he did such an incredible act of good by doing this festival, and that anyone upset at him is a moron who doesn't know where Saudi Arabia is on a map, and must think everyone there is a machete-wielding, people-beheading psychopath because they've never actually been to the country like he has. We couldn't believe how self-righteous he was about it all, talking about how because he went and performed comedy there, he helped advance the people over there to be closer to where we're at. So even a crowd in LA thought Bill was being too self-righteous. That's pretty bad. And after he gets done explaining how he helped Saudi Arabia progress, he probably felt people kind of turning on him. So then he started going off about the US government and ICE deportations, and he got people back on his side. But it was interesting because at first it seemed like people were kind of conflicted about cheering for him. Usually when he says something like this, the whole crowd erupts. But at first, it seemed like people didn't really know how to react to this.
What was so great about it was the people there. You could feel it, they needed it, they wanted it, and they wanted you to push. And that's what the comics did. And your job was to just, okay, we've gotten them to here. now you can move them to there. And it's like, as much as people don't like what's going on over there, it's like they're not going to progress with isolation. So if you go over there and you just sort of like move them a little bit towards us, I don't know. I feel like we're moving towards them in a lot of ways over here, Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, we're fucking grabbing moms and dads and sticking them in a van for making illegally made fucking tacos to go to alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, it's fucking insane. It's insane. And someday they're going to be out of brown people to put in those vans. They're still going to have the vans, so you shouldn't be feeling comfortable about it, thinking that you're not going to be in it. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. So
once Bill got done trying to prove how righteous he is for performing in Saudi Arabia and speaking out about ICE, then he said the people criticizing him are the ones trying to virtue signal and they're being performative, because Conan mentions how Bill's been getting the most shit for this because of how famous he is. And people are annoyed with Conan too for not pushing back. Like, the real reason Bill's getting so much shit for this is because of how hypocritical he is, and people actually expected better from him. Because he's the one that spent the past year talking about how bad wealth inequality is and how bad billionaires are and how they need to be put down like rabid dogs, only to take money from one of the most oppressive regimes and turn a blind eye to slave labor. But if you point that out, apparently you're the one being performative.
Have you talked to the other comics that you went over there with and compared notes on the reaction since you got back?
Yeah, we all had like a great time over there, and then everybody else is just going like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
you know what I love? That a bunch of people went over, but because of your success, you're one of the main names that gets mentioned over and over again. So congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't literally watched any of it, or I don't care about all of that performative shit. And it's like, if someone actually wanted to have a real conversation and stuff like that, I mean, I could get all the way into like, as far, as like a performer, one of my favorite things is this.
Yeah, so I guess Bill's critics were just being too performative. Like, I really thought he was just going over to Saudi Arabia for the money. I didn't realize it was really like a humanitarian effort, so I got it all wrong. Bill really truly is a man of the people. But let me know what you guys think, and if you want extra content from me, I just posted a big video on Patreon about how Theo Von is spiraling out of control. He bombed out a Netflix taping. He's been coping over that. And then afterwards, he got publicly embarrassed by a reporter he tried hitting on, and she just shut him down. It was hard to watch. And then also Duncan Trussell, he's losing it too. That guy's down bad. So the comedy scene's a mess. And if you want to stay up to date with it, I post every week on there, and I have over 150 exclusive videos on Patreon. So make sure you check it out. I'll put a link in the description.